My daughter-in-law didn't know I owned $2 million in her father's company. She mocked my clothes. 1 month later, the morning light always felt thin these days. It used to feel hopeful. Now it just felt like another day breaking. I sat by the kitchen window with my mug of tea. The ceramic felt warm in my hands. It was the same mug I'd used for 30 years. Robert bought it for me, a pale blue. I watched the leaves turn on the maple tree in the front yard. A few weeks more, and they'd be gone, stripped bare, like everything else. My name is Elizabeth. Liz. I'm 70 years old. 70. It sounds like a lot when you say it out loud. Most of my life I felt younger. I felt useful. I felt loved. I had a husband, a son, grandchildren, a home filled with noise and laughter. That's what I built. That's what I lived for. Now it's just me and the silence. And the memories. They can be louder than anything else. My life wasn't always like this. It was good. It was ordinary. It was everything I ever wanted. I met Robert in college. He was a year ahead of me. Tall, quiet, kind eyes. We married right after I graduated. We had Michael 5 years later. Our son, our only child. He was everything to us. Robert worked hard. He was an accountant. Solid, reliable. I stayed home. I baked. I gardened. I volunteered at the school. I made our house a home, a haven. That's what I thought it was anyway. We lived in a nice suburban house in Connecticut. 4 bedrooms, a big yard, a swing set for Michael. Later a treehouse Robert built with his own 2 hands. Summers were filled with sprinklers and lemonade. Winters with sledding and hot cocoa. Those memories play in my head sometimes, like an old movie. They used to make me smile. Now they just twist something deep inside me. Michael grew up. He was a sweet boy, always a little sensitive. Not as sharp as Robert, not as strong-willed as me. He was easygoing. He went to the state university. Met Clara there. Clara, she came into our lives like a burst of sunshine. Or so I thought. She was bright, ambitious, beautiful in that crisp, confident way. Not a hair out of place, always dressed impeccably. She was a few years younger than Michael. They married when he was 28. I remember that day so clearly. The church was full. Clara wore a simple white dress. She looked radiant. I cried happy tears. My son was settling down. He was building his own family. My heart swelled with pride. I truly believed she was a gift. She was very different from me. I was more casual, comfort over style. She was all style. She worked in marketing. She earned good money. She was always talking about trends, about keeping up. Our house, the one I poured my life into, she called it charming at first. Then it became quaint. Then it became a project waiting to happen. I didn't mind at first. I told myself it was just her personality. She was younger, modern. I loved her because she made Michael happy. And soon, she made me a grandmother. Emily came first, then Josh, 2 beautiful grandchildren. They were the light of my life. I babysat them constantly. Weekends, school breaks, whenever Michael and Clara needed a night out. I never said no. Never. I loved having them. My house felt full again. I'd bake cookies, read stories. We'd play board games on the living room rug. I cherished every minute. Clara would drop them off with a quick kiss and a, "Thanks, Liz. You're a lifesaver." Then she'd be off. I felt needed. Loved. That's what matters, isn't it? To feel like you matter. To your family. Robert and I had a comfortable life. Nothing extravagant. Robert's accounting firm did well. We had savings, investments. We weren't rich by Clara's standards, but we were secure, or so I believed. There was one investment, a small one. Years ago, my Aunt Margaret passed away. She left me a modest inheritance, $50,000. Robert knew a college friend, a man named Mr. Davison, who was starting a software company, a tech startup. This was back when that was all new and exciting. Robert suggested we put a piece of my inheritance into it, just $10,000. He said it was a long shot, a favor to his friend. He put it in my name. For tax reasons, or maybe just to keep it separate. I remember signing some papers, but it was just a few shares. A token, really. I never thought about it again. Robert handled all our finances. I trusted him completely. Why wouldn't I? He was my husband, my rock for almost 50 years. Davison's company grew. It went public, became a big name in its niche. I saw articles about it sometimes. Robert would say, "Old Davison really hit it big." We never connected it to my $10,000. That was just a drop in the ocean, a distant memory. We had our other investments, our pension, our home. That was enough. I had never been greedy. I just wanted my family safe and happy. Over the past few years, things started to shift. Slowly, like the ground under your feet. Clara grew more direct with her opinions, less charming, more demanding. She'd come over, glance around my living room, and say things like, "Mom, you really need to update these drapes. They're so 85. Or, have you thought about getting rid of that old dining set? A nice glass top would really open up the space." She always had a project for my house, for my life. Michael started changing too. He became quieter around me, more distant. He'd often cut our phone calls short. He'd defer to Clara on everything. I noticed it. I pushed it down. I told myself it was normal. Couples grow closer. Sons grow apart from their mothers. It's the cycle of life. But it hurt. It felt like a little piece of me was chipping away each time. Then came the hints about our future. Robert was 72 now. He was starting to forget things. Little things at first, where he put his keys, names of old acquaintances. But then it became bigger. Forgetting appointments, getting lost on a familiar drive. It worried me. I spoke to Michael about it. He listened, nodded, but then the next conversation would be about senior living options or downsizing. Clara was always in on those conversations, always leading them. "Mom and Dad, you don't want the burden of this big house forever, do you?" She'd say, "Think of all the upkeep, all the taxes." She'd talk about a lovely community nearby, swimming pool, activities. "You'd be so happy there, free as birds." I loved my house. This house held every memory of my life. Michael's first steps, Christmas mornings, Robert's steady presence, my garden, my kitchen. It wasn't just bricks and mortar. It was my history, my heart. I'd shake my head. "We're fine here, Clara. We're not ready for that." But the pressure kept coming. It was subtle at first. Then it grew sharper, like thorns. They started talking about our finances. "Who handles all your investments, Dad?" Michael would ask Robert, "Maybe it's time for us to step in, help you manage things. Less stress for you." Robert, becoming more frail, more eager to please Michael, would nod vaguely. "Whatever you think, son." I pushed back. "Robert and I have always handled our money. We're perfectly capable." Clara would smile, a tight, knowing smile. "Of course you are, Mom. It's just for future planning. For convenience, we could set up a joint account, or you could grant Michael power of attorney, just to make things easier down the line." My stomach would clench. Power of attorney. It sounded so final, so much control. I didn't like it. I didn't like how they kept pushing. It felt predatory, but then I'd feel guilty. They're just looking out for us. I'd tell myself, they love us. They want what's best. My son, my daughter-in-law, my family. There was a family dinner a few months ago at their house. Emily was there. Josh, Clara's parents too, Mr. and Mrs. Davison. It was supposed to be a nice evening. I remember wearing a simple cardigan over a blouse, something comfortable. My practical clothes, as Clara called them. She was wearing a sleek black jumpsuit. Expensive. I could tell. Clara was talking about a trip she and Michael were planning. To Tuscany. She described the villas, the food, the wine. Then she looked at me. "Mom, you should really treat yourselves more. You and Dad. Maybe get some new clothes. Something a little more chic." She gestured vaguely at my sweater. My heart fluttered. A cold wave washed over me. Emily, my granddaughter, looked down at her plate. Josh pretended to be interested in a napkin. Mr. Davison, Clara's father, cleared his throat. He caught my eye for a second. There was something in his eyes. A flicker of discomfort. Shame, maybe. I didn't understand it then. I just felt small, humiliated. I managed a weak smile. "Oh, these old things are fine, dear. They're comfortable." Clara just gave a little shrug, a dismissive sound. She continued talking about their travel plans. Later that night, in bed, I hugged Robert. He was already half asleep. I felt tears welling up. "They think we're poor, Robert." I whispered into his shoulder. "They think we're old and dowdy." He stirred. "Nonsense, Liz. Don't listen to her. She means well." He always said that. She means well. But she didn't mean well. Not really. The little cracks were turning into gaping holes. I started to notice things. Small things that nagged at me. A hushed phone call Clara took when I entered the room. A financial document sitting on their kitchen counter that looked like it had been hastily shoved under a magazine when I walked past. Michael's evasiveness when I asked simple questions about the house. One afternoon, I went over to Michael and Clara's to drop off some paperwork for Robert's doctor. They weren't home. I let myself in with the spare key they'd given me years ago. I left the envelope on the counter. As I was leaving, I noticed Michael's study door was slightly ajar. He usually kept it locked. I don't know why, but I felt drawn to it. A gut feeling, a cold dread. I pushed it open. His desk was cluttered, papers everywhere. I saw a file folder. It wasn't neatly stacked. It was half open. On top was a printout, a statement. It caught my eye because of a familiar name, Davison Holdings, and then my own name, Elizabeth Miller, my maiden name, not Elizabeth Reynolds. It was old, from before I was married. No, it couldn't be. My hands trembled as I picked it up. It wasn't from before I was married. It was from 20 years ago. The shares, the $10,000, from Aunt Margaret's inheritance, my initial investment. I skimmed down the page. My eyes widened. The number, the current valuation. It wasn't 10,000. It wasn't 50,000. It wasn't even 100,000. It was $2 million. 2 million. In my name. My heart hammered against my ribs. I couldn't breathe. Then I saw a handwritten note, scrawled on a yellow sticky note, stuck to the bottom of the page. Clara's handwriting. Dad knows. He can't believe she didn't cash out. Wants to make sure she doesn't get any crazy ideas before we get the POA finalized. Davison is worthless anyway. He thinks she won't check the numbers. The air left my lungs in a rush. It wasn't just the money. It was the deceit, the cold calculation. Davison is worthless anyway. Her own father, and she won't check the numbers. They had been planning this, all of it, the downsizing, the help with finances, the power of attorney. It was all a scheme to get my money that they thought I didn't know about, my money that Clara's father, Mr. Davison, knew about. He must have given her access to the records. He must have told her. That look he gave me at dinner. The shame. He knew what his daughter was doing, and he let it happen. He facilitated it. My hands shook so violently, I nearly dropped the paper. I read the note again. Davison is worthless anyway. It meant her own father. It meant the shares in his company. They were calling him worthless, but he was also complicit. He knew the value. He knew his daughter was circling. He had to. Why else would Clara say, Dad knows? The pieces crashed into place, their incessant pushing, Clara's dismissive comments about my clothes, her constant talk about money and status, her contempt for my simple life. They thought I was a doddering old fool who wouldn't notice, a rich old fool, just waiting to be taken advantage of. I was just a cash cow, a means to an end. I felt a scream clawing its way up my throat, but no sound came out. My throat was tight. My head pounded. I stumbled out of the study, out of their house. I drove home in a daze, my hands gripping the steering wheel so hard, my knuckles were white. The world outside my car window looked fuzzy, unreal. How could this be happening? To me, to my family, the family I built, the family I loved unconditionally. I walked into my quiet house, my beautiful home. It felt like a tomb. I sat on the sofa, the one Clara called ancient. I stared at the photo of Michael on the mantelpiece, a little boy with a gap-toothed smile. My son, my beautiful, sweet son. He was part of this. He was complicit. He knew. He was trying to steal from his own mother. My blood ran cold. Robert, did he know? Did he forget about the investment entirely? Or was he in on it too? The thought was a dagger to my heart. 50 years of marriage, of trust. I confronted Michael and Clara that evening. I called them, told them to come over. Robert was watching TV. He looked up, confused, when I told them to sit down. My voice was shaky, but firm. I held up the printout, the one with Clara's yellow sticky note. Michael's face went pale. Clara's eyes hardened. Mom, what is this? Michael stammered. Don't you dare, Michael, I said. My voice was low, filled with a fury I didn't know I possessed. Don't you dare pretend. I slid the paper across the coffee table. $2 million. My investment. That you two were so eager to get your hands on, that you thought I didn't know about. Clara laughed, a harsh, brittle sound. Oh, that old thing. Michael was just trying to manage your assets, Mom. You're getting older. We thought it was safer if we took care of things for you. Safer? I spat the word. Safer for whom, Clara? For you and Michael. For your Tuscany trips. For your expensive clothes. And Davison is worthless anyway. You think I'm an idiot. You thought I wouldn't find out. Michael shifted in his seat. Mom, it's not like that. We were just planning for your future. Our future. It's family money. It's always been for the family. Family money. I scoffed. It's my money, Michael. From my inheritance. An investment that you and Clara never bothered to ask about until you decided I was ripe for the picking. And Robert, did you know about this, Robert? I turned to my husband. His face was etched with confusion, then fear. Robert looked from Michael to Clara to me. His eyes were wide. 2 million. Liz, what are you talking about? He truly looked surprised, a wave of relief. Then a deeper wave of sadness washed over me. He didn't know the amount, but he knew they were trying to get power of attorney. He knew they were pressuring us. Clara jumped in. Dad, don't play dumb. You've been trying to get them to sign the POA for months, for their own good, so we could manage things. Manage things? Robert's voice was weak. I thought it was just the house. I thought it was for our old age care. Not 2 million. The argument escalated. Voices rose. Accusations flew. Clara called me greedy. Michael called me ungrateful. Robert sat there, stunned, bewildered, caught between his son and his wife. He just kept repeating, I didn't know it was that much. The betrayal was a physical blow. It took the air out of me. It was like watching my entire life unravel in front of my eyes. The love, the sacrifice, the years of putting them first. It meant nothing. It was just a transaction, a means to an end. I told them to leave. My own son, my own daughter-in-law. I told them to get out of my house. The silence that followed was deafening. Robert looked at me. His eyes were pleading. Liz, we can fix this. He's our son. There's nothing to fix, Robert, I said. My voice was flat, empty. It's broken, beyond repair. The days that followed were a blur of grief and anger. Robert tried to mediate. He pleaded with me. He tried to reason with Michael. But Michael was fully under Clara's influence. He called me, his voice cold. Mom, you're making a huge mistake. This is our family. We're just trying to help you. If you fight us on this, you'll lose everything. I hired a lawyer, a sharp woman named MS. Davies. She listened patiently as I recounted everything. She looked at Clara's note. Her eyes narrowed. This is very clear, Mrs. Reynolds. They were planning to defraud you. The legal battle began. It was ugly, brutal. My son against me. Robert, my husband of 49 years, sided with Michael. He truly believed it was for the family. He truly believed Michael and Clara knew what was best. Or maybe he was just too weak to stand up to them, too afraid to lose Michael's affection. He testified that he agreed to the POA, that he thought it was a good idea for Michael to manage their money. He claimed he didn't know the specific value of the Davison shares, but that the overall intent was for Michael to handle their estate. It felt like another betrayal, a slower, more painful knife twist. I saw Michael and Clara in court, their faces hard, uncaring. Clara wore a different expensive suit each day. She looked at me with open contempt. Michael wouldn't meet my gaze. Sometimes, during the breaks, I'd catch a glimpse of Emily and Josh outside the courtroom. They looked confused, sad. Clara would usher them away quickly. They were being turned against me. I knew it. They were being told I was selfish, greedy, that I was tearing the family apart. The legal process dragged on for months. It drained me, financially, emotionally, physically. But I wouldn't give up. Not on this, not after everything. This wasn't just about money. It was about principle, about respect, about the truth, about my right to live my life with dignity. In the end, I won. The judge ruled that the attempt to obtain power of attorney under these circumstances, with undisclosed assets and clear intent to control them, constituted undue influence and attempted financial elder abuse. My shares in Davison Holdings were secured. My home was safe. My other assets remained firmly in my control. It was a victory, but it felt hollow, ash dry. I had my money, my house, but I lost everything else. My son, my daughter-in-law, my grandchildren, my husband, who moved out a few weeks after the verdict, saying he couldn't live with a woman who would destroy her own son. He went to stay with Michael and Clara. He called me sometimes, his voice full of regret, but he never came back. Now my house is too big. The silence is the loudest thing in it. I walk through the rooms. Michael's old bedroom, the playroom where Emily and Josh used to laugh, the kitchen where I baked cookies, all empty, all filled with ghosts. Holidays are the worst. Thanksgiving, Christmas, they used to be a whirlwind of cooking and family and joy. Now I spend them alone. Sometimes I go to a small diner in town. I watch other families, grandmothers with their sons and daughters and grandchildren. My chest aches, a constant, dull throb. I see Clara sometimes, in the grocery store, or driving her expensive car. She never looks at me, never acknowledges me. Michael, too. He'll cross the street if he sees me coming. The grandchildren, I haven't seen them in over a year. No calls, no cards, just silence. They grew up. They learned to hate me, or just forgot me. Mr. Davison, Clara's father. I saw him at a local coffee shop a few months ago. He looked older, tired. He stood from his table and started to walk towards me. Then he stopped. He looked over my shoulder, then quickly walked out. He couldn't face me. The shame finally caught up to him, but it didn't change anything for me. My wealth sits in an account, secure, protected. I have more money than I'll ever need. But what's money when you have no one to share it with, no one to leave it to? I sit by the window. I drink my tea from the blue mug. My practical clothes still fit. They're still comfortable. I don't care about chic anymore. I just care about warmth. Sometimes, I wonder if they ever think about me, if they ever regret it. I doubt it. They got what they wanted. My money is safe, but my heart is broken, and it will never heal.